Okay, so here is our current position in Apple. Uh, Making sure everything's clear here. Okay, so here is our Apple position. I've been going through our other positions in this portfolio just to share the big picture idea behind a lot of these trades. Um, we're not the smartest traders, right? We're not trying to think in ways that is smarter than anybody else, but we're simply just trying to observe the crowd, understand uh, some human behavior, investor behavior, and trade the markets. So essentially, here is our Apple position. Um, Apple is seen to us as a benchmark for the stock market, right? Uh, it's not so much lately as prices have come down, right? From 195s to 165s. But in our eyes, Apple is so integrated into society, people do not realize it because everyone's fucking looking down at their phones, right? So essentially, this is a great hold and a piece of a company that we want to be a part of. And holding this at 170s to us seems like a very safe place to be. But like I've shared in many other videos, sometimes you're in a little too early. And you have to be able to put some skin into the game, be willing to start to scale in and have the potential to add more, and you just don't know where bottoms are. So our thinking on Apple is that this is a strong stock. If we've looked at the strength relative to the other tech names over 2022, especially, and then Apple's just had somewhat of a spiral of bad news. Apple managed to hold up very well during the whole pullback that we saw in the 2022 bear market. So considering that investors see Apple as kind of a golden token to the markets, and we're just trying to play the range. We're seeing that this is still a strong, liquid, powerful company that investors believe in. Then we want to be a part of it. We think the technicals have showed relative strength, and we have a model for this to potentially get back to highs. So that's kind of the trade idea behind Apple, right? China's slowing down, but China's been slowing down, and Apple has managed to hold up. And over the last year, or at least in 2023, Apple was the company that acquired the most AI companies. And the way that Apple works is they don't really talk about it until it is released. So knowing that this is a quality company with a incredibly difficult barrier around it just for anybody to enter, this is a good holding for us. People were concerned because Warren Buffett had sold a large position, I think relatively small compared to how much he was holding. But if you listen to the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, some clips that I saw was that essentially their point or their reason for exiting Apple was because they believe that the government may raise capital gain tax, right? So he has lived through many different regimes where where tax rates have fluctuated from up to 50% to, I believe, sub 20%. I cannot give you an exact number. And right now, they are locking in profits because they believe they're paying on the low end of taxes and know that things can change in the future based on how he believes the world is playing out. That still means Apple is a quality company. So had this position gone down to 170, then we would have added another 500 shares, get our average closer to this 170 zone with risk below that if we are wrong. and then hold this potentially to get back over 200, depending on what happens with the overall markets, depending how AI plays out, which still seems like there is some reason to be behind it. So that's the Apple trade. Try to keep these brief, but get a lot of information in them, right? It's a simple one. I like the idea because of how simple it is. A longer term swing, and I believe we have a high likelihood of having some success. And if we're wrong, we take the loss. So I also wanted to talk about, I was going to make another video, but I'll talk in this video now because I'm enjoying the ramble. But essentially, in the future, I'm starting to believe that retail traders will be able to leverage the use of code much easier. And as opposed to people having trade ideas, people will have trade strategy ideas, right? You're basically creating whole processes. It's like a process idea, right? And then once you can quantify and code that or speak it into an AI bot that writes the code for you, then the game, in my opinion, is going to be, okay, which process is currently working, right? Which sequence of events is currently working in the markets? And then retail traders will have such quick capabilities of coding that process. So it's an automated system that is coding or trading by itself, and it can be deployed in a very short amount of time. So I believe as traders grow, markets change, and people adapt, this might be a shift into how retail traders begin to kind of grow, right? Until the trade becomes too crowded, and then we'll see what happens next. So that's kind of a thinking that, that's a thought process, or maybe a mental simulation of what I think might happen. Keeping a close eye and taking the measures to be able to adapt as well in this moment in time. So just keep thinking forward, always manage your risk, and thank you for watching these videos.